Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show with host Stephanie Vivier.
Well, hello there, Rob. I missed last week's show. I know you and Aiko had a great conversation, so I'm excited to be back and chat all things real estate with you. How are you this week?
Fantastic, fantastic. The weather, I love this weather. I know some people don't like it, but I love the warm weather. Getting out, walking around, enjoying it. I'll tell you, I don't think we've had a guaranteed summer weather all summer long like this in years. It's got to be 20 plus years that where you can almost guarantee every weekend is going to be a great weekend. And sometimes when it rains, you're kind of happy it rains because the grass needs it. But otherwise, I'll take this any day of the week, any day.
Yeah, absolutely. Soaking it up for in January when we've got the other side of it. I like it too. So it's certainly been hot. What about real estate? How does the weather affect real estate? Has that been warming up at all?
The real estate's moving along, chugging along. It is a tough market out there, and I think we're just in a tiny bit of a correction still. Like it's funny though. Like right now, like it's weird. Like last year the market was better, and it wasn't as good as 2024. It's like every other year, it's like hopping. You know, it was good last year. This year, it's not as great. Next year, who knows? But because it's kind of correcting itself from the height of it through because of COVID, and we're paying the price for that. We're paying the price because of the low interest rates, and we're paying the price, of the housing prices have gone up so much that it has to readjust itself. And, so when you go into people's homes, it's tough because they're remembering their neighbors or their family getting big dollars, and they're not just going to get that. And for instance, I'll give you a perfect example here. So these two sons, their mother's gone into, I guess, long-term care home, and she's got dementia. So they need to sell their house. And this house is actually just down the street from my aunt and uncle's house that they lived on that street. So they're all elderly people that live on the street. Beautiful house. The house is kind of original to when it was built, and probably I'd say in the 60s. So I'm going through the house and everything. And, the house needs to be completely updated and everything else. But everything's been well taken care of. Everything's been great. So I go to, we're going through the house and everything, checking things out. And I give them an evaluation, and I say, you know what, I probably wouldn't go list higher than 650,000, based on other comparables, sales, and everything else. Like it's showing that that's the number. And I said, you might end up getting something closer to 600, depending on the market, depending on the month, and all that kind of stuff. And he says, I said, what was your number? What number were you floating around with? And he said 700. And then he goes, well, we have somebody that might be interested in buying at 650. And I said to him, if you can get 650, take it and run. Because I said that. Now, most agents probably wouldn't say that. They probably would try to get it listed and maybe list it higher price and put it and say, I probably can get you more. And then beat him up on the price after. I didn't. I'm usually pretty straightforward. If they have a private buyer that's willing to buy it, I'll say, and I said, take it and run. I go, even if it's at 640, take it and run, because you don't have, the real estate fees and other fees that may incur when selling with a realtor. So he's looking at it and he's going, and like he's kind of surprised that I'm telling him that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you don't think you're going to hear that from your realtor,
no,
right? You're going to go, oh no, you got to put it on the market and this and that.
Yeah, no, I told him to, and I've said that over the years. I'd say at least once. I've said that at least once a year over the years. Once, like at one time. And now we sell a lot of homes. I've been to a lot of properties, and somebody says, I have a buyer. And sometimes those buyers aren't really buyers, right? Because they think, you know what I mean? But if they don't come to, if they don't make a deal or anything, then they call me. And but he was surprised. So he said to me, he goes, listen, let me see what I can do. I said, do whatever you can to make that deal happen. I said, do whatever you can. I says, because I'm telling you, list at 650, but I don't think you're going to end up getting 650.
Right.
So I'm being completely transparent with him. and letting him know, what the outcome is. Now, I go, if somebody comes here and says you can get 700, they're lying to you. There's no way. From what I'm seeing here and the way the market is right now, no way. There's no way. No chance. There's too many comparables that show especially the house is dated. So now I'm waiting to see if he has sold it to this person privately. And buying a house privately, it's becoming difficult, even more difficult now than ever. Just because banks, they will want a bank appraisal, and they're a little cautious on it. So if you're doing a private deal, you may have to do 2 weeks for financing, because banks, they want to make sure there's no fraudulent things going on. Now, if it's listed on MLS, it's a little different. They got the listing, the realtor's involved, and they know that realtors aren't supposed to do anything fraudulent, and so they know the deal is pretty clean. But when you're buying privately, banks are making it more difficult for a buyer to buy privately than ever before, and it's becoming tougher.
Really?
Yes. So sometimes I remember I bought a house years ago, and it was an investment property, and the people I was buying it from, I said to them, "Listen, we got to get this on the market." So I had a friend, the office, the main office, the REMAX office. I said, "Why don't you put this on the market? I'm going to buy it," and it makes the whole transaction smooth, completely, and it just, it's crazy, but that's how the banks are right now. They're becoming even tougher and tougher, and so so when you're buying privately, just make sure you got 3 weeks for financing, not just 1 week, because they're gonna question everything. They will question everything, and they're gonna want to go through your bank records to find out where's the money coming from, your deposit. They know that already. They're already checking that, but they're going in really in a tougher and tighter situation when it's a private deal. So, but yeah.
So the banks are really looking at the profession, the real estate profession, the ethics that are involved, and saying, like, we feel this is a level of protection that we're not getting during private sales.
That's right. Private sales, there's always something funny going on. That's why when it's through MLS with a realtor, it's a little more smoother situation. And yeah, because now they have all the information. They got all the pictures. They've got all the details, the square footage, the taxes, everything on there. And our job is, as a realtor, is to make sure all that information is correct. And if it isn't, we can be in a lot of trouble with it. So when the banks are looking at it, they can verify that is the correct information on the property.
Right, where they'd have to have that work or other verification without that. Interesting stuff. Well,
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear what happens with that, because, like you said, it's one thing, and I think we've all been in those situations where someone says, "Oh yeah, if you're ever selling, like, let me know," right? And so that person could be serious, or they might not be serious. So it'll be interesting to find out if this quote unquote buyer actually is a buyer for this property.
Absolutely. I'll fill you in the next. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and let you know what if we ended up listing it or if they ended up selling it privately.
All right. Well, let's talk cottages, Rob. You started this talking about the weather. It has been such great weather to get out there on a cottage, but maybe not a good time to own a cottage, especially if you're looking to sell. Ontario's cottage market is not looking great. Give us a picture of what people are experiencing.
So there was an article in the paper, and it said, Ontario's cottage market has slowed down dramatically, leaving many owners struggling to sell. That is so true. Inventory is swelling due to both new listings and unsold properties from previous years, while demand is dropping as buyers grow cautious about the economy. Prices in several regions, such as Kawartha Lakes, Haliburton, and Grand Bend, have fallen between 1% to 20%, with some owners taking six-figure losses, especially those who bought during the COVID boom. Higher interest rates, costly renovations to meet rental bylaws, and carrying two properties have pushed some to lease cottages while trying to sell. Now, in contrast, Muskoka's market remains stable with slight price growth, strong sales, and confidence among buyers, especially for high-quality waterfront properties. Many buyers now focus on smaller, more affordable cottages rather than $1 million retreats. Overall, the current climate is strongly favors buyers. There's more choice room to negotiate and less competition during this pandemic frenzy. So right now, buying a cottage, you'll get a super deal. Now, the key thing is, can you afford to keep it and run it? A lot of people are using cottages now as Airbnbs. And before it was just like, hey, let's have a second place to go to. That was during COVID because you couldn't go anywhere. So having a cottage was the next best thing for a vacation home. But yeah, they're taking a beating. And what's happening is, especially now, with the interest rates that we went through, people are getting caught up and choked with the debt that they accumulated in the last 2 years, 3 years. It's finally catching up to them. And it's just like the Eatons. I mean, they were in trouble in the early 90s, but they ended up going bankrupt in the late 90s because the banks, kept giving them money and to stay afloat. But eventually they had to stop that, and eventually they closed up. But cottage country, yeah, you can make a good deal out there right now. It is a buyer's market in general everywhere, but you can get yourself even a better deal in cottage country. There's a lot for sale out there.
Okay, and you mentioned, Rob, certain areas are seeing this almost 20% drop. Wow, that's crazy. The Kawartha Lakes, Haliburton, Grand Bend, but that Muskoka seems to be doing well. What do you attribute that to? I mean, that has been long known as cottage country. Is it maybe just that legacy, or is something else happening there?
I don't know what's happening. It's more of a prestigious, like Oakville kind of style, Niagara on the Lake, you know what I mean? Like, and the homes are, more wealthier people seem to go in that direction versus the other areas. But they're feeling it also in the Muskokas. It just depends on what parts of it, if they're waterfront or not. But in general, yeah, the Muskokas seems to have not taken the beating as much as everywhere else.
Oh, I remember, I don't know if it was this summer or last summer, Rob, that the David Beckham was up there. So maybe that has something to do with it. If people think they're going to see David Beckham, it might hold its value.
Well, you've got a lot of famous people that own cottages up in the Muskokas. You've got Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell.
Yes.
They have a place up there.
They have, and they bring people a lot. Like, they have
Yeah.
a lot of famous guests there.
That's right. And you've got Kevin O'Leary's got a cottage up there. You've got Eric Lindros. If anybody's a hockey fan that remembers Eric Lindros as a hockey player up there, there is so many celebrities that do have, and we don't even know that they have cottages up there. If you really looked, and sometimes they just put them under a corporation, so you have no idea it is a celebrity, but that's the case of it, right? Because you get people, that's where they want to go, and that's why there's more demand there. But yeah, people always want to be where all the rich and famous people are.
We do have a bit of a cottage feel. I know there are some areas where, it's more cottagey, particularly in South Niagara. Has that affected that area at all, or are there enough sort of residents that it hasn't?
It's affected a little bit, but you know what? They're more affordable, and it's easy to get to. Like, if you live from, I would say, from Stony Creek to Niagara Falls or whatever, or even Hamilton, you can get to a cottage in Haldeman and have a cottage on Lake Erie, and you're there in an hour, depending where you are, versus, going to the Muskokas, depending where you are, the 2-3 hour drive. I have a friend that has a cottage, and he's on Lake Batiste, and it's a 4-hour drive.
Wow.
I couldn't handle that. A 4-hour drive, like, if you wanted to go to the cottage every weekend, that's like, it's a long time. Like, I think I would want to, have a helicopter take me there or something. but it's a long drive. You have to want it, and you have to love it to enjoy it. But me personally, an hour drive, an hour and a half max is perfect for me to have a cottage if I would own a cottage. But I don't have the time to take care of a cottage, and I don't vacation every weekend. It's tough. It's tough. You either grew up with it or it's something you want to get into it. It's perfect for teachers.
Yeah, absolutely. Spend the whole summer there enjoying it all. But yeah, a couple weeks at a time, you can rent one, all that kind of stuff. So opportunities for us to enjoy cottages. An opportunity for you to continue enjoying the Golfi real estate show. Rob Golfi's with us today, and he's going to stick around. So I hope you will too here on 610 CKTV, Niagara's News and Talk.
I know the importance of hiring the best agents.
I'll take a photo of your house and post it on the World Wide Web.
Next,
our multi-million-dollar marketing system reaches tens of thousands of potential home buyers every day.
Go to robgolfi.com and put the best team to work for you.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Steph Vivier, and with us today, Rob Golfi from the REMAX Golfi team. Rob, we were talking a little bit about getting away, getting to the cottage. Of course, that's what many people are doing over the summertime. Others, though, I think maybe getting ahead on the fall real estate market. That'll be upon us before we know it. And there's a lot that goes into those listings. You were telling us also about how important it is and the value that even a bank puts on the MLS system because they assume that realtors are making sure that all of those things are accurate. However, there are some mistakes that can happen on MLS, and you're going to tell us about one.
Yeah. So what happens is a couple of things here. So it's standard. Before, it used to be luxury to have a professional photographer go to your house and photograph it and use those pictures to put on MLS. It is standard today. And I find one aspect of it is a lot of realtors out there are just using their cell phones taking pictures. Especially, they're taking pictures vertically. They should use horizontal pictures on all photographs. The vertical pictures, you can tell they don't show good online, and you can tell it was amateur shots. That is the one part of it that I find that is it looks bad on MLS, and it's not good for the client. Now, when you do take pictures, you got great photography. Our photographs are photographed, and then they're touched up to make sure they all are clean, sharp, and bright, and so that they're not, dimmed or dark. And so when they show on MLS, they show well. So, but the one problem that a lot of realtors make is that the first 5 pictures are the front. They got one on this angle, the one on that angle. They got one in the front. They got a picture of the door. They got a picture, They got so many pictures of just the front of the house. By the 6th picture, I'm already done. I don't want to see this house anymore, and I'm gone on to the next listing. All you need is one good angle shot of the house on the front, and then you go into the inside of the house. The best thing to do is you take your 10 best pictures that will showcase this house to a level that people would fall in love. Now, here's another mistake somebody makes. This house has a pool. It's a luxury house. They'll use, and you could fit 50 pictures on an MLS listing. They'll use the pool pictures for picture 48, 49, and 50. Can you believe that? Do you know, by that time, they're already gone. Or if somebody has a house and there's a detached garage, and the picture in that you have set up for the front picture of the house should have the garage as the next picture, so people understand that this house does have a garage. You don't want it to flip, 20 pictures in and then the garage shows up. You like I said, you capture people in the first 10 pictures. And again, another big mistake realtors make. We got like 5 different pictures of the living room. How many angled living room pictures do you need? And then another mistake is that they put pictures of a laundry room that's messy, or it's a utility room. You don't need those pictures. You don't and hallways. You don't need pictures of hallways. These are all pictures that can be eliminated from the MLS listing. You showcase your best pictures in the first 10 pictures, and then you could put other pictures. So what happens is the photographer gives them, probably 80 pictures. You only could put 50 pictures on MLS. But it seems like these realtors think they have to put 50 pictures. I tell my team, listen, if you only find 20 good pictures on there, just put 20. If there's only 10, put 10. If you got a flipper house, that house needs complete gutting and needs to be updated, and you're only going to find maybe 10 pictures of this house. And basically, people that are looking at it, they know it needs work, so that's fine. But you don't need to put 50 pictures of a house that needs to be gutted. It's wrong, and people don't have time to look at 50 pictures. You'll capture them in the first 10 pictures, and that's what's going to help you get people to look at the house in person.
Okay, so you're kind of saying 5 to 10. What is the ideal amount? Because like 50 does sound like a lot, unless they're very engaging or interesting for some reason. So are there sort of like an ideal amount? And then also you mentioned all these pictures at the front of maybe the front of the house. What about the order of the photos? How does that play into it all?
Yeah, the order, what I'm saying is the first 5 to 10 pictures should be the really good ones, and then after that you put your regular pictures, like the rest of the house. So like 20. I think all you need is 25 pictures in an MLS listing, the most, not 50. But unless it's a luxury home and it's got many rooms, but the angle shots are. I got to stop here for a second. What was the question again?
I was just asking about number of and if the order of them matters.
Oh, okay. The number of order, it depends. You just like the front of the house is important because people, they have to like the house in order to look to go into the house, right? Like nobody is going to want to see an ugly house unless they know the inside's nice and maybe they can fix up the outside if it's a fixer-upper. But people like to see the house, right? They want to see the exterior of the house. Sometimes people put a picture of inside the house, an interior picture of the house first, and then they have the front of the house on the 48th picture. Well, I want to see what the front of the house looks like to see if I like it. It's like people going to a place let's say it's a nightclub. Do you want to see the guys' insides first, and then look at the outside? You want to know the attraction from looking at the person, right? You say, hey, that's a good looking person. I'd like to meet that person. I'm going to approach that person and talk to that person. But if the guy's got a mask over his head, I don't know if I want to talk to that guy. I don't know what's going on.
You might want to run.
I may want to run. So basically, just do the order that it should be. Like, hey, the front picture, yes, okay, we know what the front looks like. Okay, let's see what the inside. Well, if the inside's completely beautiful, it's got marble floors and granite countertops and beautiful bathrooms, start putting those pictures as the second, third, fourth, and fifth picture. And then you could put the rest of the pictures after. You got to get them on first. People got to decide whether they like the home or not. And it's basically curb appeal. Nobody's going to want it to look. I remember the house I bought was on Main Street. It was in Grimsby. I loved the house, but I didn't like the way the fence was because the fence followed the line of the sidewalk, which was on an angle. And it bothered me so much. I knew when I bought this house, the first thing I was going to do was rip out the fence, and I was going to square the fence up with the house, with the street. And I did that and made a huge difference. So whoever put the fence in before, it was terrible. It looked like it was a crooked house, and I knew I'm a symmetrical type guy. I need everything to be square. Everything's got to be lined up, and that's what I did with that house. And a lot of different things in my life that I've done, I'll look at it and say, hey, you know what? It'll look a lot better if it's more square or whatever. But always, have the first picture of the house, and then put all the best ones in the first 10 best pictures right after that, and then you could put other pictures, but you don't need to put 50 pictures on a regular 3-bedroom bungalow in a regular residential neighborhood. You don't need 50 pictures. You probably 20 pictures will be sufficient for that house. If it's a $10 million house, yes, maybe you need 50 pictures or more, but 50 pictures is the max. So you got to be very careful what your realtor's doing for you when they're putting pictures. That makes a huge difference on the click rate when people are scanning through the internet and looking at houses. And because first they'll look at the cover, the home, and then they'll go to the next picture. And if the next picture is a beautiful picture, they're going to continue on. But if they hit the first picture is the front of the house, they hit another angle of the front of the house, and then a third angle of the front of the house, and then another front of the house, and then they hit you'll lose that person. We are in a society today that there's so much social media going on, and everybody's flipping through their phones fast. People, you got seconds to get somebody hooked into your house if you like looking at your house. So people are used to flipping through, right? So if they have to flip through 10 pictures of the front of the house before they see the inside, you'll lose them on the 4th, 5th picture. You'll lose them. So agents are making that mistake. I see it all the time, and agents are taking wrong pictures. If you have an agent, I'll tell you something. If you have a realtor that you hire and they take pictures with their cell phone, fire them right away. Get rid of them. Fire that agent.
No cell phone pictures.
No cell phone. No. They should have a professional photographer taking photographs of your house. This is the biggest investment that you may have, and you want an amateur photographs done to sell your house. Every key component of selling your house is important. And people always want top dollar for their house. Well, guess what? You get somebody that's coming in with a cell phone and taking pictures. Guess what? You're not going to get top dollar. You got to be very careful with that. So be wise, and also just make sure the order of the pictures are in good order.
Okay, and so is there any parts of a house, like you're talking about the professional photographers, are they able to sort of photograph any house and make it look good? Or are there any like parts of a house, whether it be a size of a room or a certain feature that's kind of hard to depict in a photo? Maybe you would say, we'll just leave this out.
There's sometimes I eliminate pictures because we want people to show up and make the decision on their own whether they like this house or not. We take all horizontal pictures. We had one client one time, she had pictures and they were vertical, and she was very pushy and wanting them. She thought they were great. And then after probably about a month, I said to her, listen, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to re-photograph this house. And because I don't think your pictures are doing any justice. So we did some changes to the listing, had the photographers go back and reshoot the house. We sold it within a week after that.
Wow.
So my mistake was I listened to her. She was very forceful. I listened to her, and I shouldn't have. And then she realized, oh my God, Rob, you're right. And I said, get rid of these vertical pictures. They were terrible. But she wanted them. She thought they were great. So I said to her, listen, now it's my turn. Let's do it my way. And we sold it. We sold the house. It was, and she couldn't believe it. She goes, oh my God. She goes, I'm sorry.
Well, that's the goal, right? We're all trying to get this house sold. So you got to just go with what works.
So one other thing, right now is the time. So if you're thinking of selling your house through the winter or early spring, even like April, May, if you are, get your house photographed now. We're taking appointments now to photograph houses for people that are looking at selling their house in the wintertime. Get your landscaping is looking beautiful. If you have a pool, definitely get some pool pictures, summer pool pictures, so people can feel the lifestyle of the house that you have. So it makes it easier to sell. So if you're thinking about selling within the next 6 months, book us to photograph your house. Or if you're not sure, take horizontal pictures. Remember, I'm telling you, horizontal pictures on your phone, your cell phone, which is really not as good as a professional photographer. And take horizontal pictures without people in it, without kids playing in the pool and stuff like that. Take whatever you can, again, those horizontal pictures from a cell phone aren't as good as a professional photographer's phone. You can see them when you're going through the MLS system.
Okay, and you're saying that's just for people who are thinking about selling. We wouldn't necessarily have to sign a contract with you or anything like that. Nope. You're just making those appointments now.
That's it. We're taking appointments for people that are thinking about selling in the winter. Give us a call. We'll photograph the house, and at least we have summer pictures of your front yard, backyard, and so it makes it easier, so people can see exactly what your yard looks like in a summer atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, what a difference that makes in January when we're all covered in snow and cold and we see a nice picture of a pool. We can really picture ourselves in it. We don't have a hard time doing that at all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. This is the Golfi Real Estate Show. Rob Golfi is with us today from the #1 real estate team in Canada, the Golfi team, 905-641-0308. Stick around, back with Rob after this on 610 CKTV, Niagara's News and Talk.
Are you worried about selling your home on time and for the most money? Hi, I'm Rob Golfi. Every year we invest millions of dollars in our advanced marketing system, ensuring your home is seen by tens of thousands of potential buyers. We don't just hope it sells, we make it sell.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier, and Rob Golfi is with us today talking all things real estate. All right, Rob. So we just went through the photos, the big mistakes that some realtors make when it comes to those MLS listings. So let's assume we've gotten to that point where we're looking at a house, we're very, very interested. And now we have to decide, do we do that home inspection or not? Now, you mentioned earlier that it's kind of a buyer's market right now. So what do you think? Should we do that home inspection? Is it risky for us to skip it?
It is risky for skipping it. So waiving your right to a home inspection can be one of the costliest mistakes a buyer can make. A home inspection protects buyers by identifying hidden issues and structural problems. And you know who makes this mistake mostly? Realtors themselves. Realtors, when they're buying their own house, they don't, because they feel they know everything, and they don't put a home inspection in there. But the way the market is right now, even in a good market, get a home inspection. So for instance, here's the thing. During the time when multiple offers were happening like crazy, and it was during like 2021 and the first quarter of 2022, you had a week to look at the house and then submit an offer, right? And sometimes there was like 10 offers and more. So you don't know if you're going to get the place, but sometimes you get a home inspection done, and before you put the offer in, but it could cost you $400 each time to do a home inspection, and you don't even know if you're going to get the house. And that's the tough part. So a lot of times when you're holding offers, a realtor should suggest to get a home inspection done so that anybody that's buying, looking at putting an offer, and they can look at the inspection report. But sometimes people feel it's biased, and and they may hide things in there that really need to be attended to. So like if you want to get rid of a problem house, get rid of it when there's like the market is just crazy and moving fast, because you'll have 10 offers on it, and then the buyer beware, they end up taking over the house, and then they're the ones with all the headaches. There's so many people that bought houses in 2021 and part of 2022. There's vermiculite insulation in there. We got structural problems, like sewer problems, plumbing problems, like mold issues in the attic. Nobody looks in the attic. People have bought houses faster than they buy a car. They walk through the house, say, yep, I like it, I'm going to buy it. And then all of a sudden now they move in, and now they got all the issues that the previous owner had. And he's happy that there was no clauses of home inspection. That home inspection, don't let any realtor talk you out of it. Get that home inspection done, even though it may need a few little things. Don't save the $400 or $500, because it could cost you $40,000 to $50,000 a major issue. Like redoing a whole foundation can be very expensive. So that home inspection report is so important.
What kinds of things would a home inspection uncover that we wouldn't necessarily be visible? You were mentioning those realtors, maybe they take a look around and go, oh, everything's good. What are they missing that home inspection is going to find?
So what happened one time, it was a power sale, and power sales with banks, they make you sign like 10 pages. You can't go after them for anything after you buy the house, right? And the one thing a lot of people don't find, that somebody put concrete in the sewer.
What?
The owner. He was upset. He was upset that the house was taken away from him. So he sabotaged the house, right?
Oh no.
So the next owner that bought it had to deal with that. And but they sabotaged the house, and the banks don't know this. Nobody checks the sewer. Nobody's like really checking it. And
yeah, would that even be on a home inspection?
Home inspector could probably miss that. actually.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
you know, like something small and crazy like that can you know, cost money to the next buyer. But like, you know, there could be, you know, mold behind the walls. They've got equipment now that they can detect that sometimes.
Hmm.
What else is there? Like vermiculite insulation. Yeah, a lot of times people don't know they have it. Even the current owner that owns the house probably bought it with vermiculite insulation and didn't know he had it,
Right.
or even mold in the attic or downstairs in the basement, someplace in one corner of the basement. Maybe there's a little moisture going on there. You know, there could be knob and tube wiring, but you can't see it because they've covered it all up with regular wiring on the basement, but they connected it to the knob and tube that goes to the first and second floor. You miss that. You can miss that. A lot of times you don't know if a house has got aluminum wiring or regular wiring. Aluminum wiring now, they've got, you know, outlets that, you know, that you can replace that will fix any aluminum wiring situations. But aluminum wiring came out in the 70s, and then they realized it's not good for the fixtures that, you know, those fixtures you plug in, like, you know, the switches and everything, because they end up getting loose, and then they end up sparking. So that's why they had to make special fixtures now to cover that. But I know about 15 years ago, aluminum wiring was a big issue, but now I don't find it. People are not worried about it as much as they were 15, 20 years ago. UFI, your formaldehyde insulation, was big I think in the 60s. The government gave grants for people to put it in, and then 10 years later, I think they gave grants to get it out.
Oopsie.
Yeah. So, but UFI, as they call it, is pretty dormant now. So if you had urformaldehyde insulation put in your house in the 60s, it's pretty well dead. There's no toxins being exposed from it. It's pretty well dead from now. So I don't even know why they have it on a purchase and sale agreement that if your house has urformaldehyde insulation. So, and if it does put a stigma on the house. In some cases, the younger generation don't care because they know, they've done the research, and I think the Ontario Real Estate Association should even take that off because it doesn't make a difference. But a lot of houses people have bought, if you check the history on the home, you'll find that if it was sold 10, 20 years ago, it did say it had that insulation in there. So there's a lot of things. Link Home seems to get missed. The Toronto Real Estate Board, they don't really have a link, like a checkbox to say it's a link home. A link home is when two houses are beside each other and they're just linked underground. And
Oh, interesting.
yeah, they're linked underground. They're still detached homes, but there's a link. It was cheaper for the builders to build back then when they were building link homes. So you could find a
So
link.
the plumbing is linked together in some way?
No, totally detached. Everything's detached. It's just when they were building the foundations, it was easier to build two foundations at the same time with
Gotcha.
and they were just linked by concrete between the two houses. But there's no way you can access each house. There's a lot of linked homes out there, but now when they're listed as detached, so somebody doesn't know they're getting linked. And you can tell linked homes because they're close to each other, beside each other, and they're exactly lined up exactly to in front, like they're and there's been a lot of certain neighborhoods that had linked homes, but what I found in the last 10, 15 years, a lot of things that was very important on an MLS listing is getting missed now. And and it's sad to see that. So like myself as an experienced realtor, I can tell what's going, like the style of house, the year it was built, if it's a link home, if it isn't, what's going on with that. And I always check the history. I'm always going, I check the history of the home. I'll check back on houses, to see if, what was registered before on this house. And you'll find the truth if you go back, 10 to 20 years on a house.
Jim was an investigator as well, in a way.
Yes, absolutely.
Does it ever make sense to not do or to waive the inspection?
You know what? If it's a brand new house, but you know, something that's, you know, newly built in the last, you know, 5 years, you know, everything had to go under code unless there's some situations, you know, like structural stuff, maybe some movement of, you know, foundation. But I think you're fine. Even builders sometimes. Their houses that are built may not be good, but you just go online and check to see what the people are saying about their houses. But yeah, I would you know, some people do get home inspections done on newer homes, and it's always wise to get a home inspection done because you never know. Like your home inspector will tell you, you know, you may have to upgrade the insulation, you may have to, you know, update this, and you know, like change things. Remember, when builders are building, they're only building to what code is, and code is, you know. Like, you know, it's not as good as if you want better quality stuff, you know? So.
Yeah. You can find out a lot more. All right. You mentioned it's a buyer's market, Rob. So maybe some people have some extra funds and they're thinking, okay, this would be a good time for me to invest in real estate. At the same time, we're not seeing those housing price increases that we did from a few years ago. So they're going, maybe I'll just keep my extra money in my stocks or mutual funds. So which one's a better investment right now?
So right now, it's hard to tell because both the stock market, mutual funds, and the real estate market, it's kind of a little bit on flatlining, right? It's stable, but it will always, real estate always goes up, and so does the mutual funds and stock market. They all go up, right? So I did an analysis on real estate versus mutual funds. So I'm going to give you a perfect example. So as a real estate investment, so if you're buying an $800,000 house and you're putting 20% down, that's $160,000. And land transfer tax with that is another about $14,500. So actually, I forgot. Land transfer tax is $12,000, and then legal fees are about another land transfer tax is $12,000. Legal fees are $2,000. So the total investment on an $800,000 house, the down payment and cost, is $175,000. Now, if that house appreciated 6% in the first year, you just made $48,000 net worth. Your worth went up to $48,000. And let's say the following year, your net worth went up another 6%. So that's an additional $50,000 because now the house is worth $848,000 versus $800,000 times 6%. That's $50,000, $888,000. So almost $900,000. So you've almost made $900,000 in 2 years. Now, if you did a mutual fund, that same $175,000 goes up 6%. You only made $10,500. Do you see? Do you see?
Yep.
See that?
Yeah.
So that's why you know people become wealthier faster and more wealthy when they invest in real estate because your 6% is going up based on the total amount of the house, not just your investment.
Right.
So you just you know what? And some people are scared about buying real estate and dealing with tenants and stuff like that. I get that, but you get a good management company, property management company, and they take care of everything for you. No headaches, nothing. We have a property management company, and you should see the people that we take care of. They're thrilled because they don't have to worry about it. They don't worry about collecting rents. They just get a check in their mailbox or in their email. Money transferred to them from the rent every month, and we take care of anything, all the issues and everything from that. So I always thought real estate has always been a good investment for me. It's always done better than my mutual funds and stocks. Always. It's always outperformed it, no matter what. And like I say, house prices, they always double every 10 years. It doesn't matter what's going on with recessions or that are happening during those times. House prices always double every 10 years.
Okay, and your property management company, you even deal with like smaller landlords if you only have one rental, that sort of thing?
Yeah, we deal with single-family homes, duplexes, up to 10plexes, and larger apartment buildings. But yeah, if you just want to buy a duplex and have us take care of it for you, you'll be thrilled. 10 years later, you're going to go, oh wow, I just doubled what the cost of this total investment purchase was. And my initial investment, like let's say $175,000, they made tremendous amount of money from it. The best investment you can make.
All right. Well, it's some great math there. If you want to talk more with Rob and his team about real estate, go ahead and check him out online. That's robgolfi.com, GOLFI.com. Give him a call, 905-641-0308. Rob, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
This has been the Golfi Real Estate Show on 610 CKTB, Niagara's News and Talk.